What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt Taville with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Deontay, the Bronze Bomber Wilder, and Andy Ruiz. Get this. Andy Ruiz Jr. sent word of warning by Deontay Wilder. Okay. All right. Deontay Wilder, of course, and Andy Ruiz were ordered to fight last November by the WBC, but the negotiations fell apart, as we all know. Wilder, who was world champion for 6 months. Wilder, who had the WBC belt for 5 years. Okay, that's the layout. Okay, WBC unified. Okay, and Ruiz was now on the shelf and would struggle to get back on the top, according to Deontay Wilder. He said, "You've got the next fighter in line, ready and waiting. We told Andy this. We kept telling him. His father was the one that kept saying, Andy's ready. We're where we gonna fight. And when it came down to all the excuses in the book, they overpriced themselves. We told them, you're gonna be on the shelf with that mentality. They thinking because he beat Joshua and gained all those titles, he's supposed to have all this money. But it was only for 6 months. It would have been lesser than that if y'all got the fights on. So you can't really hold that hostage and think you're going to get all this hype of this money. But he was a champion, yeah, but for a short period of time. What did you think? What did you do with it? You didn't have no titles, defenses, none of that. All that stuff counts, okay? And with the WBC's order ended, Wilder confirmed that the fight was completely off the table and blamed Ruiz's father. He said they came back 3 or 4 times calling his pops, calling it was Andy. He's going through this and that. Nah, pops, it wasn't Andy. It was you. For that reason, it fell through. Now I've moved on to bigger and better opportunities. Those are the words of Deontay Wilder, and let me counterpunch. Well, now people looking back at everything, Wilder was right. He was right. And because nobody really knew what Wilder was up to. Nobody knew about the Parker fight. Nobody knew about Anthony Joshua fighting Otto Eileen and this day of reckoning, and this excellency Turkey putting this big ass thing. Nobody knew any of this shit. You know what I'm saying? And if they had a little inkling of knowledge of that, yeah. And I think Andy thought that Wilder was bluffing. He thought he was bluffing. He thought that, hey, they had time because he hasn't fought. And since he hasn't fought anybody since last year, okay, well, he ain't going to fight this year at all. So he's probably just going to wait out for the Joshua fight. Well, that shit's not true. See, we all found out together. So you really can't blame Andy for not knowing. But if it was Ruiz's dad pricing himself out, maybe Ruiz's dad wasn't telling Ruiz, the fighter, everything what was going on. It's still a little sketchy, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't know what they asked for. I think they asked for half or whatever, and they didn't get it. But fair play. Wilder didn't get half of fighting Joshua either. You know what I'm saying? So, and they were both champions at the time, and they were both undefeated. They weren't going to get half, so the irony of it is Wilder feels about Andy Ruiz the same way Joshua felt about Wilder 5 years ago, almost 6 now. So, Andy Ruiz, though, he did not defend his titles. He got the titles, in an upset, one of the biggest since Tyson Douglas. But he didn't defend them. He went out for the WBO once upon a time and had a close fight with Joseph Parker. Needless to say, the guy that's going to fight Deontay Wilder now, you know what I mean? And no one really can argue with that because, that fight is in line for a much bigger fight. So nobody cares about Andy Ruiz. So the thing is, they warned him. They told him, hey, you're going to be shelved, buddy. But to be fair, his father saying that Andy's going through this and that, he was. You know, his wife or significant other was trying to bury him, you know, with those IV pictures, with him smiling with the weed in his hand and all that stuff. You know, those things were real. Absolutely. Those things were real. And she got in this man's account and tried to put a lot of personal information out on that, just like they did Oscar De La Hoya, him in drag and shit, right? So, you know, I mean, I can imagine he was going through some shit too, you know, but then that's what his father was supposed to be for, you know, in order to get the fights he needed without Andy going back and forth with Wilder through and over social media. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I feel bad for Andy because, like, what the fuck is Andy going to do now? See, Wilder got a fight. He got a fight with the guy that beat Andy for the WBO title. What's Andy got? Snickers? That's all, bro. Shit, more like peanuts because he doesn't have anything else. You know, so, yeah, that was the warning, and it's warranted. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Wilder sending him a warning of Andy Ruiz. I told you so. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!